maybe. Hey, Tennyson. Yeah, bud. We're almost ready to go. Just sorting out the YouTube side. So we're simulcasting on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook, no problems, but YouTube, we just got to do a few things. Good evening, Bear. I'll be with you in a sec, mate. We're almost ready to go. Okay. Beautiful. I think we are good to go. All right. Just wait. We're starting to get... I think we've just gone live on Facebook, which is great. We're starting to get a few people there. It's always difficult with these. If we start them too early, people don't get a chance to get online to have a look. And if we wait too late, people get bored and switch off. So we've got to find a happy medium where it takes us about a minute or two to get going. So while I got you here, I'll see what... Bianca, thank you in advance. Nistro. I've got a new name, Nistro. No worries, Bianca. Hey, David, how are you? Evening, guys. Evening. Hello. Boom, alak blam. I don't know what that means, but cool. Hey, mate, watching from Yeppoon. Oh, you're going to be a bit disappointed, Aussie Mac. There's not much we're going to talk about for Yeppoon. We're planning a Hughenden trip, Lion Crower. Oh, maybe give that a little bit of a go. Give that a little bit of a miss. Upper level environment of the system. That'd be great. Are we talking? I think we're talking about the Kimberley system. Yeah, sure. We can talk about the Kimberley system and the upper level environment for sure. We might kick off now, folks. All right, so we'll kick off with northeast Queensland. So the way these go, by the way, my name's Chris Nitzo. I'm lead forecaster at Weather IQ. I'm also owner at Weather IQ. Weather IQ's been around for 14 years. We know our shit. We don't stuff around, all right? If we see something's going to happen that's big, we tell you. If we think a lot of shit's hype, we tell you, all right? So the other thing, by the way, this broadcast always sponsored there by our major sponsor, Fair Dinkum Builds on the top left. So show them some love if you're in the market for a shed, safe, accredited shed. And of course, we're not government funded. We're totally self-funded, and we rely on support from our subscriber base at weatheriq.com.au/subscribe. And these are the prices: $32.95 for a year. That gets you all my video forecasts. For today, for example, these are the video forecasts. We did one on Queensland, one on the North Oz tropics, looking at cyclones in the next 2 weeks, one on the Cairns region, one in the Townsville region, one in the Mackay region. The Kimberley, we talked about what effects this cyclone is going to have on them. The northwest Queensland, the Gulf Country, southern and central Queensland, and that's it for today. So sometimes we'll do 8, sometimes we'll do 10, sometimes we'll do 12. So your support goes a long way. So we thank you. And as I say, we try to make it as affordable as we can. At $30 a year, I don't think you can be more affordable. Alrighty. So firstly, let's go over to the northeast Queensland. Let's have a chat about this, eh? All right, so we've got on the coastline between Innisfail and Ingham at the moment a convergence zone. So convergence zone is where this northeasterly or north-northeasterly flow is coming into the coastline and it's being squeezed by an easterly flow. So an easterly flow to the south around Ingham and a northeasterly flow and a northerly flow here around Innisfail. And these air masses come together, they get squeezed, and the mountain ranges help to create the lift. So we had a lot of this around Ingham yesterday. Today that area's been a little bit further north, and we've seen some very significant falls so far in that Cassary Coast region. Let's have a quick look. I'll just get the Bureau of Meteorology's latest rainfall totals out there for this area, and there have been some very good falls so far. Yeah, Tully, South Mission Beach 165, Euramo 107. That's just in the last few hours since 9 o'clock. And a lot of this rain didn't really kick off until probably just after lunch for some of the heavier falls. So there's been some good falls and obviously great falls further to the west, and we'll talk about those in the next part of this. So let's have a look at what we can expect across this area for the next, probably few days, in fact. So not just for tonight, but also the next few days. We're going to start to see on the high-res model, we'll start with that. Sorry, we've been looking at a lot of cyclone stuff for the Kimberley folks lately. So just need to get my models up. All right. So we're looking here at the high-res model. Now, one of the problems we've got with a high-res model is, one of the great things about it is it's high-res. One of the problems with it, it tends to over-exaggerate a lot of things, all right? So the expectation here of the sort of rainfall, and this is the problem, people don't understand that, and they'll just post the rainfall numbers from the high-res model. They'll panic everyone, and everyone will go crazy, and then none of it will happen, or only like a small portion of it will happen, and once again, the weathermen are wrong. No, it's just idiots who don't know how to use it. All right, so the thing that the high-res model is telling us, as you can see on your screen here, is that this area around the Tully-Cardwell area is the focal point of convection at the moment. The high-res model is predicting that some of that will filter down through the Townsville district tonight, but only in a weakened format. So we're not expecting to see sort of really heavy rain through the Townsville district. We are expecting to see some rain through the Townsville district. Now, more importantly, what's happening further to the north is we're reinforcing the convergence. So what's happening here is instead of just drifting down to Townsville and then going away, the rainfall is being reinforced by the constant squeezing effect of the different air masses. And so what we're seeing there is a reinforcing of that convergence around that north tropical coast. So as the upper level environment and the mid-level winds drift that rain southwards to Townsville, there's not much convergence over Townsville right now. All right, so the stuff weakens as it goes southwards, but then the new stuff develops right along that convergence zone. So let me give you an idea of what's happening through the mid-levels of the atmosphere here. These are our thunderstorm steering winds, and our thunderstorm steering winds right this minute are northwesterly. So they're dragging these storms and pushing them towards the coast up around the Daintree, and they're dragging them from northwest to southeast. Now you'll notice as we get closer to Tully, Cardwell and Ingham, see how those winds drop off? So what happens here is a deceleration of the storm. So as the storms move in this northwest to southeast direction, they're moving at a decent clip. So that means that rainfall up here, while decent, it's not going to be too significant, right? But as these slow down, as they get further southwards, the rainfall production from them becomes fairly significant, a lot more significant. And so what we can see here is over the course of the next few days, or the course of the next 24 to 36 hours, we've got those really strong steering winds out west, and we've got the really strong steering winds way up north. But as we start to move down to Cairns, Innisfail, Cardwell, Ingham, to a lesser extent Townsville once again doesn't have that converging flow pattern. So you can see here that we've got a situation where these storms are going to be slowing down. They're going to be moving north to south, yep, but they're going to be moving at not a very decent clip, which means that there's more time over individual locations to give you more rainfall from each individual cell. So that's what the model there is telling us. Now, generally speaking, the model will over-exaggerate, and this is a great example of the over-exaggeration. Like, it decides to dump, what's that, about over 1,000 millimetres on the section of coast, all right? That's not going to happen. But, you know, if you don't know and you post that, people start panicking and going, oh, shit, we're going to get a metre of rain in 2 days. That's not going to be the case. But what we do, excuse me, what we do need to be aware of is that, yeah, there is some serious rainfall potential on that section of coastline due to that reinforcement. One of the other things I'll show you is what's going on at the surface. And one of the things we're going to see at the surface is a big increase in our easterly flow. So in the next 24 hours, and this reinforces the squeezing from the bottom, all right? So what we're going to see is this east-southeasterly flow through Townsville, east to northeasterly flow through Tully, creating the squeezing effect there around Tully-Cardwell. Then we've got the same type of flow pattern affecting and creating a squeeze pattern just off the coast of Port Douglas, Cairns and Innisfail. And so we're going to have this squeezing pattern going on through both of these areas. And then eventually what's going to happen here is the entire flow of this east-northeasterly is going to increase as we go into tomorrow. And so tomorrow we're looking at a much more active weather day than today. And that's because the squeezing is stronger at the surface between the northeasterlies and the easterlies. The other thing you will notice tomorrow is that, generally speaking, the flow pattern through the Herbert region has gone from what it is tonight, which is southeasterly, to east-northeasterly. So that will drive a lot more rainfall potential down into the Ingham, Rolling Stone, maybe even the northern suburbs of Townsville get involved in that as we go through the day tomorrow with that more east-northeasterly to easterly flow. That's not a great flow for those of you in Townsville. I know there's a lot of folks here who are watching this from Townsville. This isn't the best flow for Townsville to get big rain. This is a flow that sees Townsville getting a lot of shower activity, heavy at times, but this is a perfect flow for big rain from Rolling Stone all the way up to Cairns. That sort of, and even the Daintree. So that sort of east-northeasterly flow is perfect for those areas. Not quite perfect, certainly not perfect for the Burdekin, and not quite perfect for the Townsville district. So our biggest rainfall over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours is certainly going to be north of Townsville, and quite likely in that Cassary, Herbert, and even potentially Cairns, if we can see some, the Cairns district, I should say, if we can see some convergence developing right next to the coastline there with that strong east-northeasterly flow. Obviously, this means that boaties need to be very, very careful tomorrow. Very strong winds will develop throughout these coastal waters, much stronger than what they have been today. So the key there is an understanding that the convergence is going to increase, the rainfall intensities are going to increase, and the general rain spread is going to increase too. And I think that's a slight positive, is that instead of just focusing in one little spot, we're sort of spreading that rain over a fairly large area here once this east-northeasterly flow establishes and hits these mountain ranges. So we are going to see some very heavy falls. Let's go to another model that's not going to over-dramatise it as much as this one, because this is going to give us a much better overview of what we can expect, okay? It's not going to get the top end numbers right, but it's also not going to show some crazy stuff that's going to panic people. All right, so we can see that tonight the heaviest falls, and it's got that pretty spot on, right? It's got that heaviest falls between about Tully and Ingham, eventually sort of drifting south to the northern suburbs of Townsville by sort of 10 p.m. Or so. As we continue on into the overnight period, you can see the reinforcement of rainfall. So see how it's reinforced rainfall overnight, early in the morning, tomorrow, in this area between Innisfail and, once again, Rolling Stone. But there's rainfall outside of those areas, so I don't want you just to focus on the orange and red. Yeah, sure, the orange and red is the flood-type rainfalls, all right? But the yellows are still very heavy, potentially very heavy rainfall. The green is still good rainfall, good opportunities to pick up showers, general patchy rain, that sort of stuff, good grass greening falls. All right, so anything in the green, anything in the yellow, anything in the green is okay rain. Yellow could be potentially heavy. Orange and red, of course, is going to be very heavy. And you can see where our orange and red is, probably just south of Innisfail, just north of Ingham. That appears to be where our orange and red is between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. tomorrow. Moving into 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow, we can see slight progression northwards of that orangey stuff and yellow stuff, and so you can see there's potential there for overnight, early morning shower and storm activity near the coastline around the Daintree, Cairns region. Heavy falls of rain potentially in those isolated pockets. You can see some heavy rainfall anywhere sort of north of Rolling Stone, and lighter falls further south towards the Townsville district as well. All right, so as we move into 4 a.m, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, tomorrow, so through the day tomorrow, we're anticipating the convergence to be strongest around the Innisfail region, but you can see how far we established that fairly significant convergence, right? So remember, the whole flow of the northeast coast turns east-northeast tomorrow. So this drives a lot of moisture into those big mountain ranges from the Daintree all the way south to Rolling Stone, where the big mountain ranges finish. All right, so that's why this area, we see such a vast area of yellow, because we don't concentrate the convergence in one spot. We spread it out over the entire sort of length of the coastline. So there's really good chance of good rainfall right across that entire region tomorrow, once that east-northeasterly really gets stronger. Notice for Townsville, once again, we're sort of on the southern boundary of anything heavy, all right? So our heavy stuff is Rolling Stone northwards, and especially sort of Cardwell, Tully northwards tomorrow, looking most likely. Then as we go into tomorrow evening, this is when our convergence will peak. Our strength and intensity of that lift and of that squeeze at the surface peaks tomorrow night. And you can see here the peak at this stage showing up around Innisfail. Now that might change. We might be here tomorrow afternoon and say, oh, hang on, that's around Tully. Or hang on, that's around Cardwell. It might change. It won't change a lot, but it might change.